the PIC. 14E is a special deduction, in other words, our double deduction, but 14E is only given for approved projects. So if you are undertaking approved R&D project and approval is by the EDB, those who want to find out more, you can talk to Anna later on. She will be very pleased to encourage you to undertake R&D expenses. So E is approved by the EDB, but please note that the maximum deduction, whether you are claiming Section 14, 14D, 14DA, and 14E is 200%. That's why I indicated that the PIC is very attractive. Now we can claim 250%. Now PIC for R&D, we can claim 250% for the first 300,000. And excess, we can claim 150%. Now, let's look at this example. We have R&D expenditure of 1.2 million. And out of this 1.2, 1 million relates to wages and consumables. So this 1 million under the ODA will qualify for an additional 50%. So under PIC, first 300,000, we get 250% deduction, so 750,000. And then the excess of salaries and consumables, we get 150% deduction. So the 1 million comes from this consumables and salaries and wages. So we get 1,050,000. The balance, which would be examples like your rental, your royalties that you pay for licensing of some intangibles, these will then have just 100% deduction. So giving us a total PIC of 2 million. So you can see it's very, very attractive. Some planning point, if you are undertaking large R&D project, if possible, break it up into 300,000 segments every year. Because at 300,000, you get the maximum of 250,000, 250% per year. Because this is good per year. How about acquisition of intellectual properties? Currently, if we acquire intellectual properties for our business, we can claim allowances under Section 19B. And under 19B, our allowances are on a straight line basis, 20% per year over a 5-year period. With the PIC effectively mirrors the 19B allowance. So we will get the first 300,000 at 250%, excess at 100%. But these will be written off over a 5-year period. In other words, it's akin to the present 19B. But the attraction is, under current 19B, we do not have 250% deduction. But under PIC, we do have. So again, the government is encouraging companies to move up the value chain, if possible, purchase IP to upgrade your skills, upgrade productivity, and they are prepared to fund you indirectly through greater deductions. So, example, if we spend 500,000 to acquire an IP, our total deduction will be 1.05 million, because the first 300,000 will qualify at 250%, excess 200,000, 100%. Again, on the acquisition of IP, if we are looking at a few IPs, because sometimes, for example, I have a client, when they were contemplating buying a business, they were also buying like 30 IPs. So if we try to plan it instead of buying 30 IPs at one go, where only 300,000 will qualify for 250%, can we break up the purchase into 3 tranches so that we maximize our deduction? It's not difficult to do, because what you need to do is to enter into an agreement to purchase IP, first tranche, and then you have licensing for the second and third tranche. And then you have a call option for second year to call on the second tranche, third year call on the third tranche, and then you maximize your deduction. But I shouldn't say that in front of Anna, because she will probably tell Iris to close the loophole. Now, M&A allowance. The government is trying to encourage smallish enterprises to grow, and with that, they are saying, well, if you merge, you acquire, we are prepared indirectly again to fund you. And the funding is through an M&A allowance, which is worth up to 5% of acquisition costs. And the maximum acquisition capital cost is 100 million, so you can claim up to 5 million of M&A allowances. And these will also be written off over a 5-year period. Stamp duty will also be granted remission up to 200,000. The 200,000 is actually the 0.2% on 100 million, because transfers of shares, stamp duty is at 0.2%. So 200,000 is the maximum that you can get a remission on. Well, the President indicated earlier on in his opening that we have now a land intensification allowance. So some of us call it LIA for short, but my client reminded me, well, be careful, don't use LIA. I said, why? Because the LIA stands for Lee in audience. Only very few people can use it. Now, for LIA, the initial allowance is the same as industrial building, 25%, but the annual allowance is 5%. Those of you who remember years back, I think in the early 80s, when the government tried to encourage intensive pig and poultry farming, we also have a 5% allowance. So now instead of intensive pig and poultry farming, we have intensive land farming. But only the following sectors will qualify: pharmaceuticals, petrochemicals, petroleum, specialty chemicals, other chemicals, semiconductor wafer fabs, aerospace, marine and offshore engineering, solar cell manufacturing. So you can see from these industrial sectors, the government is focusing on very, very large manufacturing concerns. Any one of these, you probably need at least a few $100 million of investments. So my question is there no place for local industries? Is there no place for SMEs? Because now we are focusing on very large enterprises, and if you look around us, these undertakings are usually MNCs, probably with the exception of marine and offshore, where we have Keppel, who is dominant. Otherwise, we are talking about large MNCs. How about our SMEs? To me, why can't we consider flatted factories? To me, flatted factory is also intensive use, and it generates quite a lot of employment. So I certainly hope that, especially those of you who serve in the grassroots, and especially a president who has a lot of inside track, strong representation should be made. Well, with LIA, they are going to phase out IBA. So from the 23rd of February, in other words, the day after the budget, any purchases of industrial building will no longer qualify for industrial